Hello, this is an assessment of a Bluthner Style 5 grand piano made in 1908. Now, the casework's in good condition and the polish very even. It's not quite the style of polish we put on, but actually it's really tasteful. I like it a lot. It's describing the colour, it's not sort of reddy brown at all. It's more chocolatey brown. That's not a very nice word to use, chocolate, for a description of a wood, but I can't think of a better one. That's the colour it is, almost like a walnutty rosewood colour. There's the fall. Again, no fading on it at all, and very nice veneer, very nice grain. The top of the piano looks a bit plainer than if it was refinished. We'd refinish this in natural rosewood and show a lot more contrast to the grain. Key tops are quite patchy actually. If you look at them, they've obviously been replaced here. Someone's worked on the piano extensively, so the different key tops, different grain pattern on it, and I say a bit patchy really. It could be replaced if you wanted to, but obviously keeping the original ivory is very nice to do. The strings have been replaced. The rest plank hasn't been replaced, it's original, and so these are larger tuning pins, but they're very tight, so that's the important thing. The job's been very well done as well. Just listening to the bottom bass, it's very good. Now it's 3 beats flat, and from experience, Bluthner strings are very high tensile. They're close to their breaking point, so you have to be very careful when you tune them. Listening to the tone throughout, and it's strong throughout, so that's fortunate. No need to change the hammers. As I say, the main problem is 3 or 4 beats flat, and that's enough to make us think we might well break one of these strings if we pitch raise it. So big problem there. Have to be very careful. For lubricate this point here, take them down before taking them up. That's the best thing we can do. But even so, the Bluthner's particularly very susceptible to breaking. The soundboard's in very good condition, not a single sign of a crack, which is good news. If you have a piano like this, obviously you must make sure, if you put it over underfloor heating, for instance, you have to have an isolation mat, because drying out a piano will cause the soundboard to crack. That in itself isn't a disaster, but it's when it loses its down bearing, that's the height on the bridge and the pressure on this, particularly the middle point. So it doesn't sound resonant there, but it does at the moment sound very resonant. This is the style 5. It's 170 centimetres long, 5'7", and doesn't have the Alicot scaling. Doesn't make any difference as far as I'm concerned as to the quality of the piano. Alicot scaling really doesn't work that well, in my opinion, and I think most tuners would agree. So this is not as common as the style 7 and 8, which are 6'3" long. This is a less common piano. Now, looking at the hammers, they've been recovered rather than replaced. You can see they're slightly where they've worked on here. Definitely recovered hammers, no underfelt either, so no doubt about that. And usually recovered felt hammers are not as strong and not as good as replaced ones. But these ones fortunately are, and they're very good quality hammers, so I don't think we need to change those. A slight indentation here, but nothing significant. A little bit of voicing to do on the piano. I noticed though that one of the hinges here, see if we can find the one, that one there. I don't know if you can see the hinge pin that's just popping out. That means the hammer's loose here. It's that one there. You can see it moving sideways. That needs rectifying straight away really, because otherwise it just wears more and more. The end of the hammer will wear. You won't be able to see clearly the 3 lines, and it'll just and the tone of it will change. So that's really important to rectify that. It just means putting a new centre pin in. You can push that centre pin in, but you have to do it very delicately because it will push the felt house at the other side. So normally put a new one in, which has a point at one end. So you then push it in and cut it off. That's the correct thing to do. Being 1908, this is patent action original, of course, with the L-shaped spring, and they're regulated reasonably well. As I let go, it should go upwards. That one doesn't. They need regulating a bit more. That one does. So let go, and it goes upwards. It's very hard to get them exacting on the Bluthner patent. It's easier to get them on a standard roller action, but the patent action does feel so good. So that's an assessment of a Bluthner grand piano, 170 centimetres long, 5'7", style 5, which is the non-aliquot scaling one. Now the piano's been worked on very well on the whole. It has just one technical problem really, it's just a loose centre pin. Oh well, the other technical problem is it's a bit flat, and because bass strings of Bluthner's have a tendency to break, I'd be a bit concerned about pitch raising it. Even with lubricating the pressure points and taking it down first, there's a strong possibility of bass strings breaking. So 2 technical problems. The key tops as well, they're not brilliant. I don't know if we'd replace them. I think that would depend on what was required really, whether you want to keep the ivories or whether you would prefer perfect key tops. The polish on the piano is really pleasant actually, slightly different from what if we would do it. Natural rosewood would be slightly more golden colour, but it's very pleasant and no fading. Hammers are nice and strong, recovered hammers, but nevertheless strong up to the top. I say strong because Bluthner suffers very often from being a bit weak in the treble. And nice tenor areas you can hear. Very stable tuning by the way on Bluthner's. That's something, one of the major factors that's positive about them. Thank you for listening.